Who jumps out of perfectly good airplanes in the name of science? Mr. C.
Well, happy Tuesday to you, and I have a big fat smile on my face. I have two big surprises for you coming up toward the end of the period, but you've got to earn them. You've got to pay attention. You've got to zero in. And in the meantime, journals are out, of course. Remember I said yesterday your journal is your best friend. You've got a friend in me, your journal. Yeah, singing to you. Let's just say don't sing to us. Okay, I won't. So, and homework in your lesson planner. Homework, lesson planner. And your homework in your lesson planner is tonight, tomorrow night, Thursday night, triple R every night for your Friday test. You will most probably get an A or B on this test if, number one, you write notes in your journal, hints about topics and questions that I'm going to ask that I will reference often today, tomorrow, Thursday, yesterday. I already did. If you triple R every night for 10 to 15 minutes. Notes in journal, triple R every night. Number three, if you go on RenWeb, and this will be up by tonight, where on Wednesday homework on RenWeb, I will list all the topics on the test. They'll be there. So, anyway, so for test topics, coming up, I'm going to go over a number of them, but in the meantime, I'm going to mention one of the surprises. One of the surprises is, you handle all of this well leading up to it, that I'm going to show you a 5-minute video that's just gone up. Now I'm taping this Monday afternoon, late in the afternoon, and JPL, the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, and NASA, National Aeronautics and Space Administration, have just put up a news conference including a 5-minute video from cameras on Perseverance as it entered. This is EDL. When you hear EDL on the video, that's entry into the Martian atmosphere, the 1% carbon dioxide atmosphere, 1% the thickness of Earth, carbon dioxide. CO2. I'm telling you, when I ask you, what is the Martian atmosphere made of? What gas? CO2. O2 in, and you breathe out CO2. Carbon, that's 2, oxide, CO2. One of the test questions, right there. You're welcome. Anyway, so EDL, entry into the Martian atmosphere, descent on the parachute and the guidance rockets, and then landing. So EDL, entry, descent, and landing. That's what this video is that you're going to see. It is really cool. You'll have to wait for the second announcement. It's going to be at the end, but it involves us celebrating a couple of things. Wonder what that could possibly be. In the meantime, the test topics. Number one, this is from last week's test that 7th graders took and your last one, 8th grade. These are the questions I'm going to re-emphasize on the test, most likely. Okay, here's the first one. Are you making notes? Journal? Pen at the ready? Journal open? Pen at the ready? Writing things down, little notes? Okay, here it is. How much space that an object takes up, and how much a container holds. What's that called? V for volume. So volume, I'm going to ask it. Next, what are you going to ask? The qualifications for something to officially be called matter. Have volume or take up space, and it's got to have mass or made of atoms. I'm going to probably ask it in one form or another. Next, let's see what the question was. So, why are the little particles, the basic particles that matter is made of, atoms? Probably ask that again. Why does it turn out they're not actually uncuttable? You can't break them up into smaller parts. Because they're protons, neutrons, electrons, gluons, leptons, and a bunch of other ones. Because atoms have smaller parts. I'm going to keep asking that. I want you to know that. What's the primary characteristic of a vacuum? Some of you are still not getting this. Vacuum. What's the number one characteristic of a vacuum? No matter, no atoms. Okay? So not gravity. Most vacuums, or some vacuums, it's not about no gravity. Okay, next. We did that. These are the kinds of matter. So solid, liquid, gas, or plasma. I'm not going to ask you about Bose-Einstein condensate, BEC. I'm not going to ask you about that. If the atoms are loosely packed and they roll over each other and you can pour it, liquid. The atoms are really packed tight, high density. I'm going to ask you density too. Density. Atoms are packed, high density. Say that to yourself. It'll help you remember it. Atoms packed tight. Density, high density. So high density objects, they have a definite shape. Solids, of course, solids. What's this one? On the sun, super loosely packed, flying around really fast, plasma. Sun is made of what kind of matter? Plasma. And then the kind of matter, very loose packing here on the Earth. Loose packing, no definite shape, spreads out in containers, flying around, a gas. Like this. Like O2 in, it's a gas. Oxygen. CO2 out, it's a gas. Carbon dioxide. So loosely packed, no definite shape. Next, on the sun. Some of you reverse this. On the sun, what elements are carrying out fusion? Hydrogen. Hydrogen. Fusion. Hydrogen. Hydrogen fusion. So what's the major gas on the sun? H4 hydrogen. About 75%. What's the secondary gas? Helium. He. Helium. First, though, mostly hydrogen. Hydrogen causes fusion, causes helium, He, and heat and light to be produced. Fusion, heat, light, helium produced. Okay? Primary gas, H4 hydrogen. Secondary gas, He4 helium. And while we're in the neighborhood of those periodic table elements, what do you call one of the 100 or so basic materials everything is made of, or kinds of atoms? What are they called? Elements. Don't write periodic table. The periodic table is just a chart that lists the elements. So the kinds of atoms, elements. So I'm going to ask you, H for hydrogen, the symbols, He for, we already did it, helium, N for nitrogen, Fe for iron, O for oxygen, O2 specifically, and then C for carbon. The major element found in living things. Carbon. Animals, humans. C for carbon. Okay? And those are the major things. Okay. So all of that for a test topic. Next, I'm going to ask you the King Henry. And here it is. Why do you keep asking us this? Because I never want you to forget it. You've got to know this, especially 8th grade for high school. King, kilo, all three things for each one. King, kilo, 1,000. Henry, hecto, 100. Die, deca. Deca, D-E-C-A, 10. By, base, 1. And then drinking, glug, 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 glug. Deci, D-E-C-I, 0.1, 1/10. And then chocolate, as in chocolate milk. Chocolate, centi, 0.00, I'm sorry, 0.01, 100th. 100th. And then milk, milli, 0.001, 1,000. So I'm going to ask you King Henry. I'm going to ask you about your superpower again. Superpower. What is it? That would be your Go Tappy package. G-O-T-A triple P-I. G-O-T-A triple P-I. That's your Go Tappy package. That's your superpower. Gifts, it's an acronym, right? Opportunities, talents, abilities, the 3 P's. Physical appearance, purpose, and the last one is, you can do it, Mr. C, personality. Personality, physical appearance, purpose. I for image, made in God's image. And then the Holy Spirit uses all of that. He gives it to us and uses it. So pretty cool. And then how do you develop your superpower? Laura's going to give you a deep dive on some more of those tips on Thursday. But the biggest way to develop it is practice, practice, practice. Practice, practice, practice. I'm dribbling a basketball. You want to be a good basketball dribbler? Then practice, practice, practice. Whatever it is you want to be good at. Practice it and learn from the experts. Okay, talk to experts about it. Okay, that's your Go Tappy package. Next topic. So we've got so far, you've got last test information, King Henry, your superpower, gifts, opportunity, talent, ability, triple P-I, purpose, physical appearance, personality, image, the Mars data. Now I'm not going to ask you specific numbers, but you've got to roughly know where the numbers fall. Like, I'm going to ask you why questions about Mars. Why questions. Now, for instance, why is it that you only weigh about 0.38 of your Earth weight? Because Mars has a whole lot less mass. There's one why question. Okay, on Mars, why is it orange? Here's why. This is a chunk of iron. There's the magnet going right for it. Okay, it's orangish. And if you look especially on this side, can the camera pick up any of the orangishness? I don't know. Let's see. Is it that good? I think so. Can you see some of the orangish iron oxide? By the way, this is the metal found in the Martian soil that's combined with the oxygen. That's the oxide part. Iron oxide. And I'm going to ask you its symbol. What is it? Fe. Fe. So for iron. So anyway, that's why it's orange. Why is Mars orange? Iron in the soil, iron oxide. What are some of the other questions that I'm going to ask you? Why is it so cold? No atmosphere to hold on to the heat, and it's a long way away from the heater. aka the SUN, the sun. It's a lot further away from the sun. So that's why the average temperature is minus 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Like on Earth, Antarctica. Mars is like Antarctica. That cold? Yep, that cold. So again, why questions? So next, why is there such a big temperature swing? Same idea. No atmosphere to hold in the heat. So at night the temperature will drop 150 degrees Fahrenheit down to minus 100. Why is there a 7-minute delay sending and receiving signals to the Perseverance spacecraft as it came close to Mars? It's so far away, 300 million miles away, and that's close. It's usually a lot further away than that. So actually when it touched down, it had touched down 7 minutes minimum earlier. We just didn't know it. Took that long for the confirmation signal, the TD signal for touchdown, to get to us. Why is it cratered? No atmosphere to block meteors. Bam! They just smack into the surface like the moon, like our moon. Why do they think there's life on Mars? Because they think, they're pretty sure, scientists are pretty sure there was water on Mars at one time. Water is one of the critical ingredients for life. Now, did they know there's life on Mars? No. Have they found life on Mars? No. They're going to drill down and see if they can't find any microorganism fossils in the soil, but they're going to store that soil, those soil samples, to where they won't even be returned to Earth for many tens of years until we can figure out how to land another lander rover on Mars, go over to Perseverance, open up those containers of soil that Perseverance drilled down and got and put them in containers, grab them, store them, and then launch back to the mothership orbiting Mars, and then launch back to Earth. So, are we going to know anytime soon confirmation that there's life on Mars? No. No. So, why does another reason scientists think there's life there? Well, they assume it evolved on Earth, which that's a ridiculous assumption, because there's just no evidence that life evolved on Earth. Scientists claim there is, but it's fake news. It's fake. It's not true. It's not based on science. It's not based on data. They just want it to be true because they don't want to believe in a God. Is there evidence for God? Everywhere. So it's too bad people don't look at that data. I mean, it's going to pay off for people who do realize there is a God. So another question, where did Mars come from? God made it, of course. Okay. How old is it? Probably not that old. Why did they assume it's old? Because they assume the Earth is old, but remember the data. The flood laid down sediment really quick, so the sediment on the Earth hasn't been there that long. Scientists assume it's billions of years. It's just an assumption. There's no scientific data proving that the Earth is old. It's just the opposite. It looks like it was young. But again, in denial about that data. Make up your own data. Tell everybody that it's really old so it fits your the Earth is old evolution scenario. Too bad. It's just sad. Okay? Sad, sad. Sad for them. Can you imagine if you die and then you're in eternity and you're trying to convince God that evolution happened? Probably they won't be trying to convince God that he doesn't exist when they wind up in eternity. So that's why I pray for, any scientist I hear that's an evolutionist, I pray for him. I want him to become a believer. So anyway, all the data about Mars that I went over yesterday and the why questions going to be there. It's going to be on the test. So just telling you that, reminding you about that. Tomorrow I'm going to go over Orion and Sirius and stars, so I'll go over that tomorrow. By the way, Sirius was gorgeous last night. We got a great look. It was twinkling like crazy. because of Earth's atmosphere bouncing the light around. So anyway, tomorrow we'll consider stars and Orion. So anyway, well, I told you about promises. So I've got to go for my QT bag. Very old QT bag. What do you got in there, Mr. C? Some of you 8th graders might have a hypothesis, a hopeful hypothesis. Oh, I hope it's what I think it is. Could be. Anyway, it's coming out in just a minute. So, like I said, in a little bit I'm going to show you a video on the entry, descent, and landing of Perseverance. So on this 5-minute video you're about ready to see, it is so cool. I'm going to let you show it to a parent and get 10 extra points. Need a parent signature? I showed the Perseverance video to my mom or dad, parent signature, your name, date in the upper right hand corner, or I won't know who signed it. So anyway, you can show it to them for 10 points. You can still do Orion for 10 points. Woohoo! So today's a big celebration day for Perseverance landing safely on Mars, and you're going to see the NASA and JPL scientists doing backflips, sort of. That's a figure of speech, in just a little bit at the end of the video. Now, the second surprise is this. At the end of the period, Mr. Phillip is going to hand these out to you. Now, he's used hand sanitizer. He's washed his hands. He's going to give you a sanitary package. You have a choice, but I think most of you are going to choose this. I have an Andes mint on steroids. These are the big ones. Now, I haven't gotten anything for you this year because I wasn't there. So all of you are going to get one of these if you want one. So now if I happen to run out for some reason, then there'll be more that will show up that'll be available, like for, say, period 6. I think there's going to be enough, and I'll tell you why. So you get one of these, and you may eat it as soon as you get it. Make sure your wrapper ends up in the garbage. Please don't get chocolate everywhere. Okay? These are the massive, these are the big ones, not the little ones, mint chocolates. Mint chocolate is my favorite. These are so amazing. SSR, you betcha. So, woohoo! Perseverance landed safely. And then the second reason to celebrate, it's sort of a late Valentine's Day present for all of you. So get ready to watch the video. Again, you can show it to a parent. Two, you're going to have to access, and I'll have my daughter do this. My daughter's going to put up the video, today's video, for you all to access, and I'll probably have to tell you tomorrow how to get it, and or Mr. Phillip could tell you. And then you get it up, and then you show the video that is hooked on there. Okay? So you're going to watch a really cool video. At the same time, probably Mr. Phillip's going to pass out an Andes mint for you. SSR, enjoy it. Now, if you don't like chocolate mint, I have JRs. I have Jolly Ranchers as a backup. So you could choose a couple of Jolly Ranchers instead of a Andes chocolate mint. But only if you don't like chocolate mint. You've got to go for this first. You've got to accept this gift from me. Okay? Enjoy it. Enjoy the video. It is amazing.